Yeah, he seems to really like respect you and your greatness and everything that you've done, but he also says, you know, like he wants to beat you in your own world on the ground, and he's gonna bounce your head off the canvas and stop history from happening. What do you make of this?
Bro, I saw his couple interview. Honestly, he looks very bad in this interview. Better for him training more and do less interview, you know. It's look like somebody in the house control him and tell him what to say in the interview, you know. He look very bad in the interview, honestly.
Islam Makhachev taking on Ian Garry. Can Ian Garry get it done?
Nah, I think he's getting choked to sleep. That's what at least I'm hoping for. I hope Makhachev goes in there, manhandles.
Did you see Bobby saying?
And I found this little video, and it said Islam had a little trouble with drugs. He was saying when he first came over, his school that he trained at, they just gave him vitamins.
Saying Islam was so fucking strong and felt something like he's never felt before. I don't know what the fuck they're taking.
Yeah.
13, 14, 15.
Well, let's talk about Islam and Garry. That's your division. What do you make of that fight and how you think that one plays out? You know, the interesting thing about that fight, because I kind of looked it up and I think this is kind of common knowledge, but Gary's going to be like the biggest opponent he's fought as far as like the height and reach. So I do wonder if Garry can kind of keep him on the outside or stuff those takedowns. What do you make of the main event?
Yeah, I don't know, because Garry is tall, he's long, but he's not like a Morales where he's like big and strong as well. Like Ian's not putting guys out with one shot. He doesn't really have that capability, so I don't think it's going to be too hard for Islam to get him down. Like, yeah, Ian's definitely long, but Ian's tall, but his reach is only 74 inches, so it's not like he has a
crazy reach. Yeah,
where it'd be a lot harder to get past his arms. I just think it's one-way traffic for Islam. I think he's going to get him down, and I think he will sub him. And I've seen stuff. Ian's not the heaviest 170 pounder either. Like, I think he fought in California where they release your weights for the fight night. I've seen one where I think he only gained like 11 pounds. Like, he was like 181 in the back. Like, I was like 198 like my last fight in the back, you know? Like, some of us 70, like, we get big, and he's just not. And I'm not saying that means a whole lot, but it definitely means something, you know? So yeah, he is tall, he is quote unquote long, but yeah, I don't think Islam's going to have too hard of a time.
50-50. I do believe they're two tough fighters. I do believe that Islam has got a little step ahead just because of the fact that he's got some of that strike.
I want you to get out of there. Get out of there. Get out of there. Move, move. Go, Islam. Stay in the middle. Circle and stay in the middle, Islam. Don't step against the wall.
You can't wait. I mean, you're there. You know, I don't want that. You're there. 2 minutes.
Yes. Pause.
Do it again. Move your head too. There you go. Move that head, Islam. Don't keep head still. Yes. Work, work, work.
Remember, it's a front kick too. Every time you come in pressure, with front kick, yes. Not too much, because you can get it. Can be down, still down. Down, you gotta get busy.
Don't just stay in one spot when you do that. There's a little bit of movement. Yeah, that was better. Much better. Much better. Same thing. And don't wait too long to strike.
Right hand, yes.
Don't wait too long. 230. You gotta keep that head moving. You gotta keep your hands up, back to side.
Stop the job fast. Not be ready for the job. Good.
Chin up.
Throw your left out.
Chin down, hands up, nice and tight. Do that head.
Right hand, left uppercut. Not just from the face, the body too.
When Islam Makhachev moves up to welterweight to face Ian Garry, we're not looking at just a size change. We're looking at a structural shift in how grappling pressure gets applied at 170 pounds. Garry represents something Islam hasn't faced in his recent welterweight debut: genuine length combined with footwork-based defensive instinct. The question isn't who wins, it's how Islam's wrestling system adapts when his opponent is literally longer. And more importantly, what technical adjustments Garry has to make to stay off his back for 5 rounds. This matchup lies in the margin between length and pressure control, and understanding that margin is understanding why this fight matters. Islam's wrestling at lightweight was built on a specific principle, controlling space through multiple entry points. His opponents couldn't build distance because takedown threats came from everywhere: double legs, high-level singles, inside trips, sweeps from neutral, and clinch manipulation. Every angle was covered, but welterweight fighters carry different mass distribution. Garry's frame, even at the higher weight class, distributes his mass vertically rather than horizontally. That changes how Islam's baseline pressure game manifests. The wrestling doesn't just rely on one dominant sequence anymore. It requires reading defensive pattern, identifying whether Garry commits weight forward or stays centered, and timing takedown attempts based on that commitment. Islam's wrestling IQ becomes the deciding variable here because the mechanical edge he had at lightweight doesn't automatically transfer. Garry's footwork is the first line of defense, and it's significantly better than most give it credit for. Watch his fights against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Rakhmonov is possibly the most dominant wrestler at welterweight right now: controlled pressure, relentless pace, multiple submission attempts from dominant positions. He took Garry down repeatedly. He held position, but he couldn't finish. Garry's ability to recover guard, circle out of bad positions, and reset his base from the bottom is elite-level defensive wrestling. That doesn't mean he stops Islam's takedowns. It means Islam has to manage an opponent who won't panic, won't crumble under pressure, and can work his way out of positions that would destroy most fighters. The cardio efficiency of Garry's bottom game becomes critical over 5 rounds. The reach differential is the narrative everyone focuses on, but the technical reality is more specific. Garry's reach is 74 inches, long but not transcendent for welterweight. His striking reach advantage works best in the first 2 rounds when both fighters are fresh and committed to range management. But Islam is not a distance-based grappler. He doesn't need to close space in a conventional way because his clinch game, his underhook positioning, and his ability to shoot from outside conventional shooting range collapse distance faster than height differential matters. Garry's reach keeps Islam at distance for maybe 2 strikes. Then Islam enters clinch range, and suddenly Garry is working off his back foot in an area where length becomes a liability instead of an asset. The key technical question is whether Garry can maintain vertical posture in clinch exchanges, or whether Islam's upper body control pulls him into a wrestling exchange he can't escape. Islam's current submission system at lightweight, and now at welterweight, centers around one unconventional finish: the Darcy choke variation he's been perfecting. This isn't the traditional bicep-to-bicep squeeze that most grapplers learn. Islam grips his own forearm, keeping his grip hand on the opposite arm. This changes the entire mechanical profile of the submission because the pressure comes from a chest compression angle rather than a neck isolation angle. When Dustin Poirier got caught with it, he described the shock of having pressure applied from a completely different direction than what his defensive instincts anticipated. Even for experienced grapplers, your body expects pressure to come from one angle based on what you've trained. Islam's variation inverts that expectation. The implications for Garry are significant. Standard Darcy choke defense mechanisms won't work the same way. His defensive response has to account for pressure coming through his chest rather than isolated on his neck, which requires him to recognize the grip variation early and adjust accordingly. Garry's mental approach to this fight carries technical implications. He stated publicly that he wants to engage Islam in wrestling exchanges, that he believes he can beat Islam in grappling positions. This is either genuine confidence or strategic positioning. Either way, it matters because it indicates Garry might not prioritize bottom position defense and ring control the way an opponent should against Islam. If Garry is trying to stay on his feet and engage in stand-up wrestling exchanges, he's playing into Islam's strength. Islam's wrestling is most efficient when his opponent is already committed to exchanging, not trying to escape. If Garry instead focuses on getting taken down and working bottom position recovery, staying in good position, and frustrating Islam's finishing sequences, that's a completely different technical game. The mental framework shapes the technical execution. One factor that rarely gets discussed in Islam's grappling is his bottom position pressure. If Garry somehow reverses position or gets on top, Islam's defensive wrestling and ability to create scrambles from underneath is elite. He doesn't panic. He doesn't get controlled for long stretches. He creates pressure even when he's not in the dominant position. This means Garry can't use top position as a reset tool the way some fighters do. If Garry gets on top, he has to finish something because staying there doesn't provide the break he might expect. That changes how Garry approaches the entire wrestling exchange. He can't use transition points to rest. Every position becomes a submission risk or an opportunity to get reversed. The championship experience variable is real but overstated. Islam has defended at lightweight. Garry is making his first title shot run. That said, Garry has fought top competition, managed pressure situations, and hasn't shown mental breakdown under adversity. The technical skill difference at that level is marginal. What matters more is whether Islam's specific wrestling system and submission sequencing creates problems Garry hasn't seen. Islam at welterweight is still Islam: elite pressure control, unorthodox submissions, intelligent wrestling entries. Garry hasn't fought Islam before, so the first time Islam's clinch grip feels different. The first time the Darcy choke is applied with that chest compression angle. The first time Islam's footwork-based wrestling entries create scrambles Garry didn't prepare for. Those moments create technical novelty. Championship experience helps. But it doesn't eliminate the fundamental problem of facing a technically superior wrestler in your biggest fight. The pace of this fight will be determined by Islam's wrestling rhythm. If Islam establishes top position early and maintains it consistently, the pace becomes a grappling pace, controlled, technical, pressure-based. If Garry creates scrambles and forces Islam to work harder for position, the pace accelerates. Islam will likely prefer the controlled pace because his wrestling is built on minimizing wasted movement. He wants to establish position, hold it, adjust his grip, work toward submissions or dominant position changes, and reset when necessary. Garry's best chance at pace disruption is creating scrambles early before Islam establishes a rhythm. Once Islam gets into his control pattern, resetting the pace becomes exponentially harder. Cardio efficiency will likely be the deciding variable in this matchup. Islam's wrestling is structured around minimizing energy expenditure. He controls positioning, maintains pressure, and resets without explosive bursts. Garry will need to either match that controlled pace or create scrambles to disrupt Islam's rhythm. Creating scrambles is more exhausting than maintaining control. If Garry is constantly scrambling to defend, his cardio advantage disappears. If he commits to maintaining composure and working position slowly, he doesn't generate the disruption needed to create openings. This is the technical bind Garry faces. The most efficient strategy defensively is also the most passive strategy, which doesn't create winning opportunities. The most aggressive strategy creates opportunities, but depletes his energy faster than Islam's is being depleted. The structural advantage Islam carries into this fight is movement efficiency combined with technical versatility. He has multiple paths to dominant positions. He has multiple submissions from those positions. He can adapt his wrestling entries based on what Garry shows him. Garry's advantage is length, footwork-based defensive instinct, and the possibility that his reach and mobility create enough external pressure that Islam can't establish his standard control rhythm. The matchup is interesting because it forces Islam to adapt against length, while Garry has to prove his wrestling defense works against elite-level pressure. Technically speaking, Islam's pressure systems are designed to overcome defensive layering. Length and footwork are defensive layers. Whether they're sufficient against Islam's specific approach is the technical question this fight answers. When Islam shoots his wrestling entries against Garry's length, the mechanics change subtly. Islam is used to closing distance quickly and creating upper body positioning before his opponent can fully establish base. Against Garry, closing distance might take slightly longer. That delay changes Islam's wrestling timing. His entries might need to be adjusted. His clinch positioning might need to be more precise because Garry's length means small positioning errors get amplified. This is where Islam's fight IQ becomes critical. He has to recognize that his standard approach might need technical refinement and make those adjustments without losing momentum. It's not revolutionary change. It's tactical adjustment to a different physical profile. And that level of technical flexibility is exactly what separates elite wrestlers from good ones. The Muslim Makhachev versus Ian Garry matchup is ultimately a technical story about pressure systems meeting length-based defense. It's about whether Islam's grappling efficiency, his submission mechanics, and his wrestling sequencing overcome Garry's physical attributes and defensive instinct. Neither fighter is at a fundamental disadvantage. Garry isn't too small or too weak. Islam doesn't have an unbeatable wrestling system that works against every body type. What exists instead is a specific technical matchup where Islam's elite-level wrestling is tested against an opponent with the physical tools and defensive intelligence to potentially frustrate that system. The technical complexity of this fight is what makes it worth analyzing beyond just prediction. It's a pressure system testing itself against a length-based defense strategy, and understanding those mechanics is understanding why this fight matters at the welterweight title level.